Hi there, I'm Coach Amy, and today we have a lot to cover because what I want to discuss with you today is the importance of properly weighing and measuring your food. Now, if you're tracking your intake, you're tracking your portions, this is going to be super important to hitting your goals, okay? So we're going to start with the basics with hand portions, okay? Hand portions are level 1 when it comes to food tracking, and they're also great because you always have your hands on you, okay? They're always there to help you measure. Now, if you are specifically tracking calories or macros, this is also a good substitute. Like, say you're out to dinner, chances are you're not going to be pulling out a food scale and throwing it on the table to weigh out your food. So we're going to start with hand portions. All right, so when you have a lean protein, your lean protein should be about the size of your palm, okay? That's going to be between 3 to 4 ounces. Females, it's probably going to be closer to 3. Men, it's going to be closer to 4 because their hands are larger. Healthy fats, when you're measuring a healthy fat, it's going to be about the size of the length of your thumb, okay? And that's going to be about 1 tablespoon. Complex carbs, the size of a cupped handful. That's going to be between 1/3 to 1/2 cup, a little bit closer to 1/2, maybe a little larger for men, a little smaller for females. And then when it comes to non-starchy veggies, you're going to measure by the size of your fist, which is going to be about 1 cup. Okay, again, hand portions are level 1 when it comes to food tracking, and that may be all you need. Some people may not need to get more intricate. Calorie counting or macro counting might be too much. So this is a great place to start. Gauge it, see how you feel, and if you want to move on, then you could start, tracking those numbers a little closer. All right, so I have a lot to cover here, so I'm going to try to keep it simple and keep it quick. I want to start with measuring food. Okay, you're going to need a basic food scale. You don't need anything fancy. I think I got this one for $10 off of Amazon. I've had it for years and years. So you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And I want to show you a few examples of how weighing can make such a big difference when it comes to calorie counts. Okay, Cronometer. Cronometer is the app that we use here at Results Fitness if you're a calorie or a macro tracker. And that's also how your coach tracks what you are eating. We'll also be able to notice if there's any inconsistencies, if we see some out of range numbers that may look a little odd. But the first thing we're going to do is check and make sure you're measuring and weighing your food correctly. All right, and there's also a tutorial on how to properly use Cronometer, the mobile app and the desktop. So make sure you watch those. And also if you have any questions, contact your coach and they can walk you through it. All right, so a few examples I wanted to start with, and I have a lot of notes here, so if you see me looking around, I'm referring to all my notes. Okay, so I'm going to start with almond butter. Now again, if you're measuring portions, it's going to be the size of your thumb, about 1 tablespoon. So according to Cronometer, 1 tablespoon of almond butter equals 16 grams, okay? That's going to be your average almond butter. Now, this here, well, this one's a little creamy, so I'm going to try not to get oil everywhere. This, you see that? That is not a tablespoon. I guarantee you this is probably closer to 3 tablespoons. So when you're using a measuring cup or a measuring spoon, you want to make sure it actually fits in there. All right, you don't want it glopping over and, that's just going to add more calories to what you're trying to accomplish. So here, this is a better representation of what 1 tablespoon looks like. You see how it's flatter on top? I don't have all that almond butter mounting over. Now, before I started, I actually weighed this measuring spoon. So I know this measuring spoon weighs 7 grams. All right, so let's see how accurate I was when it came to measuring my tablespoon. 22 grams, I was 1 gram off. So this is an accurate tablespoon of peanut butter. This is why it's important to measure and weigh. Now, had I weighed that original tablespoon that I took, I guarantee you that would have been closer to 3 tablespoons. Now, 1 tablespoon of almond butter has about 95 calories. I logged that I ate 1 tablespoon, which was 95 calories, which in actuality, if I used that first one, I would have been clocking in at closer to 300 calories, which is a 200 calorie difference, which is going to make a huge, huge, huge impact on your results and your success. So that's example number 1. Example number 2, fruits and whatnot, bananas. So if you look in Cronometer, it's going to say a medium-sized banana should weigh 118 grams. And a medium-sized banana is between 7 to 7 7/8 inches long. Now, I'm looking at this banana. To me, this looks like a medium banana to me. All right, I'm going to weigh it. Now, also, whenever you put anything on your food scale, like for instance, I'm putting this paper towel in here. you're going to want to zero out your scale so it does not count the weight of, the paper plate, the paper towel, the dish you put on there. Like I said, I did the same thing with the tablespoon. I already knew how much that weighed. So I'm just going to zero it out. So it is at 0 grams. And again, to me, eyeballing, this is a medium-sized banana, which should be around 118 grams. Now, when I put it on the scale, it is closer to 130 grams. All right, that's an extra 10% difference. So when I go to log this, I'll see, let's see, what does a medium banana should have about 105 calories. If I judge this as a medium and in actuality it's larger, that's extra calories I'm not accounting for. Now, are a few calories here and there going to matter? No, it's not going to drastically alter your results. However, if you do this on a daily basis with every single food you eat, you're going to consume hundreds of extra calories and you're going to wonder why you're not hitting your goals. All right, so this is why it's super important. A couple of other things. Let's do, oats, for example. All right, so like I said, and I'm just going to make a mess here with this one so you can see. A cupped handful. So for me, a female, all right, you're not going to be walking around dumping oatmeal into your hands when you're out and about. So it's good to learn. All right, so for me, this is a cupped handful. When I pour it back into this cup, it's actually a little less. So for me, a cupped handful is going to be about 1/3 cup. All right, but if I am tracking calories, all right, I forgot to weigh my measuring cup. Okay, so I'm going to zero this out so it doesn't take the weight of my measuring cup. All right, and on here it says that 1/2 cup of dry oatmeal is 40 grams. So you can certainly use the measuring cup and not weigh, but you're not going to get as accurate of results. Again, remember when I showed you when I scraped off the top of the almond butter? Same thing here. Like I may take this measuring cup like this and say, okay, well, this is a 1/2 cup of oats. Well, it's really not because we added a lot of extra on the top. So that's, again, make sure if you don't have a scale available that you have an actual 1/2 cup. Did you see how much I scraped off of there to make it even? All right, so I already zeroed out my scale. I know that it's not going to account for the weight of the measuring cup. And I have 43 grams. So I'm almost right on the dot with 1/2 cup of oatmeal. And is this time consuming and can it be time consuming? Yes, it can. But if you're dedicated to tracking calories and tracking macros, you're going to have a lot of success when you get more accurate measurements, okay? So, try it out for the few months that, that you're doing the program, or if you continue on, really dedicate your time to it. And once you start getting used to it, you're going to see, you're probably not going to track forever, but once you start getting used to the sizes of things and what a portion size looks like, it's really going to help you out. Okay, let's see. I know I have other examples. I wanted to talk about some problems with tracking. This is where a lot of mistakes are made. When you're logging in Cronometer, you use a generic entry. Say I'm out to dinner, it's not a chain restaurant, it's a family-owned business. Chances are they're not going to be in their food log. So I had a cheeseburger. If I type in cheeseburger, the first thing Cronometer is probably going to bring up is just your plain old cheeseburger, which is going to be literally a bun, a hamburger patty, and a piece of cheese. Well, my cheeseburger didn't look like that. Maybe it had bacon on it. Maybe it had barbecue sauce on it. So choosing that generic cheeseburger entry, chances are it's probably going to be around like a 300 or 400 calorie McDonald's cheeseburger. That's not what I ate. I may be off by 500 or 600 calories. So when you have an instance like that, you're going to have to pick it apart. So you're going to have to singly add every single thing that was on that burger. So say, for instance, I'm going to input the bun, and then I'm going to input the burger. There was bacon on there. Okay, make sure I add the 2 slices of bacon. What kind of cheese was there? Did I have any extra condiments? That's going to give you a closer calorie count. And this is also a good motivator to get you to eat at home more and cook your own foods, because it can take up time, and it can, kind of be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But again, if you want to hit those numbers and you want to be accurate, that's just the steps that you're going to have to take. That usually happens, like I said, with restaurant type foods, or a food that wasn't prepared by you and you're incorrectly guessing, something that was made at a party, anything like that. So just make sure you really put in ingredient by ingredient what you're eating when it comes to those types of foods. All right, mistake number 2, eyeballing and not weighing. I showed you those couple examples of just eyeballing what a tablespoon looks like, eyeballing what a 1/2 cup of oatmeal looks like. Big differences in those numbers that we saw, and those could, again, add up to more calories than you think you're consuming. forgetting to log. Now, if you're logging your food, you have to be consistent. You can't just log your breakfast and lunch. You can't just log Monday through Thursday. You need to log every single meal 7 days per week. Okay, if you want to see the results and you actually want to put your all into it, you're just going to have to do it. Okay, it sucks, but inconsistent tracking is not going to help you, because you're either going to overestimate or underestimate one way or the other, and that's not going to help you get the results that you're shooting for. All right, BLTs, I wrote a blog on this. Those are the bites, licks, and tastes. Those are the random things you pick up and eat throughout the day that you don't think to track. Now, I do track my food off and on. I am currently tracking because I have some goals I'm trying to hit. Now, the other day, I caught myself, the kids left a box of Skittles in the pantry, and it had like 5 Skittles in it. I really just wanted to throw the box away, but I didn't want to throw the food away with it. I threw the 5 Skittles in my mouth. Normally, I would never have tracked that, but I thought to myself, no, I am strictly tracking. I'm going to track those 5 Skittles. Sounds a little ridiculous, but that was an extra 40 or 50 calories that was added on to my day that normally I would not have accounted for. And when I look back at that day, there were a few instances, because I was actually cleaning out my pantries, that I took a couple bites of things. I took a couple licks, couple tastes, and I purposely tracked just to see how much of a difference it made. And those couple of bites that I took that I normally wouldn't even think of was about 250 extra calories that I took in without even thinking about it. Okay, so make sure you take an account for those. Not planning ahead. Okay, so you always want to plan ahead as much as you can. Meal planning, meal prepping is not going to do anything but help you, okay? One thing that I like to do when I prep my meals, I have them already measured out. Sometimes I put a Post-it note on it. I track macros, so I'll put, how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbs, how many grams of fat were in that. So when I go to sit down and eat my meal, chances are I'm at work, I'm probably busy, I'm not going to have time to track it, but I have that Post-it note, so this way I know when I go back to track exactly what I ate. All right, underestimating meals not prepared by you. I talked about this a little earlier. This is a perfect example when it comes to, going to parties, going to restaurants. Do the best you can. All right, calorie counting is never going to be 100% accurate. Even the food labels are sometimes off by, 10 to 20%. So nothing is ever going to be 100% accurate, but do the best that you can. Again, if you're at a party, pick apart what you ate, look and see what's in it, try to estimate and guess at least how much you ate. Again, another good motivator to get you to eat more at home and prepare your own meals. All right, let's see. I think that about covers it. I just want to check over one more time real quick to make sure I didn't miss any of my notes. Oh, okay, this is a good one. Meat, when you're measuring meat. When you measure, you're going to log it however you measured it. So if you measured and you weighed that meat raw, you're going to log it as raw. If you measured or weighed it cooked, you're going to measure it as cooked. And here's why. When you cook meat, it's going to lose about 25% of its weight just from being cooked. Okay, that water is going to get absorbed. So I may start out with a 4-ounce piece of chicken. That's a raw piece of chicken breast. When I cook it, it's probably going to go down to 3 ounces. Now, if you track and say, for instance, I tracked it as 4 ounces of cooked chicken. Well, that's an extra, maybe 100 calories added on that I didn't eat. So that's the other way that it could go bad, because you want to make sure you're eating enough. Okay, so overestimating and underestimating are both going to affect you. So when you're weighing meat, don't forget, log it how you weighed it. And then when it comes to fruits and veggies and, complex carbs, I prefer to weigh in grams. It's just an easier way to keep track. And then when you see on Cronometer, as you start logging your food, there are going to be bars that fill up to make sure you're hitting your goals. So when you're getting close to your calories, you're going to see that bar is filling up according to how many calories you ate, how much protein, how many carbs, how much fat. The reason I like to weigh in grams is, say for instance, I see, okay, well, I have 50 grams of carbs left for the day. So as I'm weighing, I know that, say, and I'm just throwing out numbers here, 200 grams of oatmeal is going to be 50 grams of carbohydrates for me. It's just an easier way for me to help track. You could certainly weigh in ounces, but I think you're going to get a little bit more accurate results when you weigh in grams. So meat and poultry, fish, things like that, weigh in ounces. Fruit, veggies, complex carbs, and fats, I would weigh in grams. And you'll also see when you use Cronometer on the mobile app, there's going to be a barcode scanner, so you can actually scan the barcode, and if it's in their database, it will bring it up for you, and you could adjust it based on your serving size. All right, so I'm sorry I tried to keep this short, but there was so much information to give, when it comes to weighing and measuring your food. Again, the more accurate you are when it comes to weighing and measuring, the more accurate you're going to be with your calorie consumption given to you by your coach. So is tracking a little tedious at times? Yes, but is the payoff worth it? Absolutely yes. So again, if you have any questions, contact your coach. They can walk you through Cronometer. If you have any questions as how to weigh or measure your food, contact your coach. We can walk you through everything. Okay? Thanks.